Hi and welcome back to the channel. Apologies that we've started off with an image in the middle of the screen rather than the model that I want to talk about on the desk in front of me. But I realised that I didn't shoot any kind of before footage to explain what I wanted to do. So I'm using basically the cover from the last video to explain things. Now, what you can see is obviously the Loco as far as I got it painted, and what was annoying me looking at this thumbnail all week was that the cylinders at the front of the Loco were bright red. Now, we've talked before about the fact that I can't really do much about the sides of the chassis behind the wheels because I can't get into paint very well. I don't want to have to try and dismantle the chassis fully to paint it, etc, etc, etc. But I decided that the cylinders were just way too bright and in your face. When viewed from a sensible distance and sensible angle, the actual chassis behind the wheels isn't too bad, and I might try and turn it down with a little bit of weathering powder. I just don't want to get it in the mechanism and on the pickups and things like that. But I might try and turn it down, but I really don't think I can paint it sensibly is the point. But I did want to do something about the cylinders, and as you can see from the still on the screen, they were very bright and kind of in your face. So let's get rid of the image. Here's what we've got. So I've been very careful about repainting this, but what you can see is I've repainted the cylinders with a kind of brush on black undercoat. I couldn't use the same black colour I used on the Loco itself because that's from an aerosol, and there was no way I wanted to try and mask this up perfectly to do the painting. So it's been brush painted on, and then it's had a dry brushing of the top in the London grey, so that's the same as I use on the Loco and the little match truck as well. Just to pick out things like the rivet detail on the top of the cylinders and some other bits and pieces on the ends. Details that weren't very obvious in the red, to be honest. I hadn't realised there was rivets on the top. I knew there was some detail on the end, but I hadn't realised there was rivets on the top until I started to brush it. The other thing you'll notice is that there are two very different colours here. So what I did was I did the black and the grey, and then I sprayed it. I did do a very simple masking job to try and keep it out of the everything out of the way of the gears and wheels and everything. And then I sprayed just across the cylinders at the front with this army paint and matte varnish that I'd used on the Loco itself. Not necessarily because I was worried about the sheen or anything on the paint, but because I wanted to try and protect the paint from wear in the future. So having done that, I then went back in and used this black 2.0 from Stuart Sample. This is this super black paint that doesn't reflect much in the way of the light. And you can really see the difference here. So what I've done is I've painted all these, this kind of, the old parts of the Loco, the buffer beam here, around the gears here, along the edges of this strip, and behind this bit here, behind the cylinders, with this super black paint. And I've gone back over the masking tape where I painted before on the motor that got a bit worn, taking the body on and off, to make it really, really black. And you can see the difference. I mean, we've tried to show the difference on camera before about just how black this paint is. But when you see it against the black here, which has been sprayed with the anti-shine varnish, and just look how dark black this is compared with the black. It's really obvious. I mean, I've got the light on for filming, which helps, but with getting some shine off these. But even in normal light, this is much, much blacker. So we have the body. I'm just going to carefully, if I can, put these two parts together, and we'll have a look as to what it looks like now. It's a bit fiddly, always is, but there we go. So that's what we've got. So I think that looks a lot better with the cylinders black. The red behind it is a lot less visible. From that kind of angle, you can't really see the red at all. Looking through here where the gears and things are, now it's painted. Now I've painted the bottom of the chassis. It's very difficult to get a glint of red through the top there, which is good. I say from the side and the bottom, there's still red behind the wheels. But given that one of those is a gear, there's nothing really I can do about that. I can't paint that black. There's nothing I can do there. But short of actually replacing the chassis entirely with something else, which I don't have an option for. That I think is about as good as I'm going to get. But I'm really happy with that now. I mean, I've still got, you know, there's light through the chassis, which is not necessarily prototypical. I could try and block that off, I think. But given how it's now looking, I'm pretty happy, I think, with that. As I said, the only other thing I might do would be to put something on front of this buffer beam so that there isn't this whacking great big hole through here. But again, when it's down on the track, it's less obvious. But I'll have a further think about that as I start to do some painting and weathering, see whether I want to do anything about that or not. But not the progress I intended to make this week. I was hoping to get some weathering done, but I think taking the time to do that has been well worthwhile, and hopefully you agree. So fingers crossed. Next week I might actually have the weathering done to show you a more complete Loco. But for now, I'm happy with that, and I think it looks an awful lot better. So thanks for watching, and remember the subscribe button is down here if you want to make sure you don't miss when I have done the weathering and something more to report. Thanks again. Bye.